How to avoid binge eating. What's your ideal protein and carb ratio? What did you do exactly to lean out and build? Someone's asking about my week of workouts. Is it possible to eat high protein and healthy on a budget? How many steps do you get in a day? Do you track macros and calories? How to get rid of stubborn lower belly push and get six-pack abs?
Hi, my name is Pernilla, and this is my Challenge Your Norm podcast. I'm absolutely obsessed with anything related to personal development. And well, to grow, we gotta challenge our norm. And so on this podcast, we chat about life and how we can challenge our normal way of living it to make it greater than we could have ever imagined. Just one little belief, habit, bold move, and challenge at a time.
Hello, my beautiful friend, and welcome back to another episode here on my Challenge Your Norm podcast. My name is Pernilla, and today we're doing a Q&A. A fitness Q&A. I did a Q&A a few weeks ago and it was so much fun, but I feel like that Q&A was more on the personal side about my life. And this morning I asked for you guys on my Instagram to send me some questions, and I just took a look at them right now before I turned on the camera, and I could see that a lot of the questions have to do with fitness, weight loss, getting an hourglass figure, how to avoid binge eating, what the most effective habits are that I used in order to lose weight and get in shape, how to stay consistent, and things like that. So that is what we're going to be talking about today. But before we get into that, I want to share something that happened today. I have been recording over the last month and a half on this one SD card. And today, as I'm in the middle of editing a YouTube video where I'm using a ton of this footage, some of it has been backed up and some of it has not, lost the SD card and it's gone and I can't find it. And I think I accidentally threw it out with these other boxes that I threw out. And I don't know what has been going wrong in your life recently. Something that happened that right now you're like, oh no, why is this happening to me? It feels like, so much work that has been put in to recording these different events now is gone. But something that I really have been practicing is knowing that everything is for me. And maybe I cannot see it right now in this moment, but there's a reason why I had to lose that SD card. Maybe I find it, maybe it'll show up, and then it's because that's the reason, and maybe this is just how it's meant to be. And I think that when we go through, when something unfortunate, as at least something that feels unfortunate happens, we just won't know in the moment why that is. But just the practice of trusting that it is always for us, there's a reason for it, I think has been so useful for me, because then instead of freaking out and stressing over it, it's like, okay, well, I guess I just got to use another week to shoot these different things that I had been working on. And that's it. Then I can move on with a happy mood. And today I did really well at it. Other days, it's maybe more of a challenge. Maybe if it's bigger things, I can see there's a little thing in the shot. There we go. But also, I just quickly wanted to share that because maybe something has not been going in the way that you wanted it to in your life, and just the gentle little reminder that maybe there's a reason. But let's get into question number 1. How to avoid binge eating. I need you to read this book, Alan Carr's Easy Way to Quit Emotional Eating. If you've ever dealt with anything related to food, emotional eating, binge eating, which basically is the same thing, anorexia, bulimia, or just overeating in general, or just overeating on foods that maybe you feel were necessary that you didn't intend to, this book will change your relationship with, food, and actually take care of the actual issues that lead us to emotional eat. I have been emotional eating a lot in my past, and eating additional food was my way to, instead of deal with the problem that I was having, that I did not know how to handle. Maybe at the time I wasn't even aware that I was feeling lonely, anxious, stressed. I didn't know. I would just feel something and I would want this release, this instant boost of, I want to feel better right now. And then me thinking in that moment, oh, let me grab some more food, because it gives you that instant gratification feeling of like, oh, I feel good. But then like 1 second after you've eaten it, you almost feel worse than before because it doesn't actually solve the issue. It's just like this feeling of a quick fix. So if you have ever dealt with that, I highly, highly recommend that book. How many steps do you get in a day? Do you track macros and calories? So it varies so much how many steps I get in a day. I just did a YouTube video where I did 20K steps a day. I definitely don't get that on a regular basis. I'll maybe get 20K on whenever I'm traveling and I'm like walking everywhere. But in my normal life, I will maybe get 10K, and that's on the good side almost, I would say. I sit down and work on my computer a lot more than it will ever look like on my social media. And I do stay very active. But I would say between, yeah, maybe on average, maybe like 8K a day. And then, there's the days where I get 15K. But yeah, that's my guess. And tracking macros and calories is something that I do maybe intuitively. Like I have an idea of what I put in my body because I have been tracking so long. Whenever I do one of my YouTube video experiments, I'm very disciplined with it. But in my regular day to day, it's more of like a general idea, and I listen to my body a lot. Like some days I just feel more hungry and I eat more food, and other days I feel less hungry. If I'm like busy doing things all day, then I will usually be eating less. So it's a very much thing of listening to my body with it. It's really interesting because today two bodybuilders told me that I should try bulking, and yesterday I think it was, or the day before, another bodybuilder told me I should try to bulk because I am very lean and I love being light on my toes. But they were like saying how that would be a great idea for me if I want to build muscle. And there's like this feeling inside of me that just doesn't want to do it because I love being so lean. I love being so light on my toes. I love the discipline of eating so that I don't get that food coma after having eaten when I eat a lot of food. But it's just interesting because I'm really asking myself, why is it that I don't want to bulk? Like really being honest with myself. And as I was asking myself, I went on a little walk after my gym session today, and I asked myself, and I was like, well, because whenever I have been eating in a caloric surplus, for so long, it was like, you have to be skinny, you have to be skinny. And now, because that has changed today, now it's like, embrace yourself, love your body, which, oh my goodness, I am the biggest fan of, because wanting to be lean doesn't mean that other people should want to be lean. I think every single human is so different, right? Like we all know this, and every single human ways of life work for different people, and there is no right or wrong way to go about it. But it's been like there's been this idea that you have to be skinny for so long that now that's looked so down upon, because it has been reversed, that now it's like embrace your body, love your whatever body you're in. And again, I cannot stress that enough. I am such a fan of that. But I also can't lie about the fact that I love staying lean. I love being light on my toes. I love to be able to move quick. And I feel more energy when I don't feel food coma and I eat just enough for my body. I'm in maintenance. I eat maintenance calories, maybe about 2,000 calories a day. If I burn 700 calories in a day, then my maintenance would be about 2,000 calories. And of course, the amount of calories I burn in a day varies, but just as a general, that's where I feel good. That feels very good. If I move more, obviously I would have to eat more. If I move less, I'll have to eat less. What was the question? Oh, if I track macros. Right. I went on a tangent, but it's just interesting that now it's looked down upon if you want to be lean. But I just think it's important to remind us all that there's no right or wrong way. If you want to be a little heavier, you should be a little heavier. If you want to be a little lighter, you should eat all the burgers and fries and chips in the world. If that's what makes you feel good, you should eat all the vegetables and lean proteins in the world. If that's what makes you feel good. It's just important that we don't take in the pressures of the society and how they think we need to be to feel at our best. Yeah. So if you've been struggling with family members or friends looking down upon how you look, what you eat, how you do things, how you train, maybe first of all, if you understand yourself, then that's the most important, because then other people's opinions are going to matter less. But also maybe you need to seek new environments where people are more like you. Like I work out now at a bodybuilder gym. It's more of a bodybuilder gym where a lot of people film content. And before I was always like the weird person filming these weirdo videos. And also, you know, training in a certain way. And not only does it push me more to train harder because I'm so inspired by these other people training in this way, but it's also okay for me to be filming these weirdo videos that I just love doing at the gym. So maybe if you've been feeling this in your life, maybe you're just starting on your fitness journey and the people around you are like, oh my gosh, why do you do this and this? Maybe you need to try to go to places where other people you know are interested in these same things that you're interested in because when you are around other people that do the same thing, it just makes you feel more okay, right? Of course, we need to make the inner work, but it always helps having supportive people around us. I've only done 2 questions. I was like, I can't do longer than 20 minutes of a podcast, but then I just got to stop being so slow. How to get rid of stubborn lower belly push and get 6-pack abs. So we all store a majority of our fat in certain areas. I personally don't store a lot of fat on my stomach, but I store more of my fat in my legs, my butt, and my arms. However, if I were to up my body fat percentage, which I have been a much higher body fat percentage in my life, I will store fat everywhere. But when I lower my body fat, I will lower my body fat percentage everywhere, right? But I will easily lose fat in my stomach, where my thighs, for example, that takes a little longer. But that doesn't mean I can't lose it at all, because the lower body fat percentage I get, the more fat will also be taken from my thighs. So knowing this, if you right now are at a 25% body fat and you do store majority of your fat in your belly, know that if you go down to 20 or let's say 18% body fat, you will lose fat everywhere. And even though your stomach is where you store the majority of your fat, you will be lowering your body fat percentage. And of course, the more body fat you lose, the more body fat you will also be losing on your stomach. Even though it may be the last place you will lose the fat, it will eventually less and less the lower body fat percentage you get. So it's so important for me to say again and again and again, it doesn't matter if we do 1,000 crunches in a day. If you want abs, it all comes down to overall body fat percentage. And we can lose that by obviously moving more, maybe lowering our calories, as in being in a caloric deficit. And also, if we up our muscle mass, then we're going to be burning more at rest. And that will also help us look more lean or get more of a fit look, obviously. And the stronger abs we have, the more they will pop out, of course. But just generally, it really comes down to lowering our body fat percentage, which people think that has to do majority with working out, but it has equally, if not more, to do with our diet. When people ask me, how do you get abs? It's like 80% of it is my diet, staying disciplined with the foods that really do make me feel good. But also, if I've been eating in a surplus for a week or two, I can see it in my abs. Like it really has to do with that. And for so long, I didn't think that, I thought it was about crunches, and I would do so many crunches every day, but it didn't happen till I changed my diet. So if that is a goal you have, then your diet is probably the thing that you will need to be on top of. And movement, just movement, any type of movement is going to make us feel so incredible. Our bodies are meant to move. And I don't know what that looks like for you to feel at your absolute best, but just some sort of movement. And obviously weight training is going to help with recompositioning your body. But if you just move and you feel good and you eat foods that make you feel good, that's really all I want for you. And if you do want to see like a body transformation, I do have my programs, my workout programs, nutritional guide that comes with a ton of self-development tools. I am right now currently running an October challenge, and it is absolutely crazy because over 100 people signed up, and it is incredibly inspiring to be a part of the community that we're building in there. Everyone's supporting each other and hyping each other up, doing the workouts, being on top of their diets, and we're having these weekly calls and daily chats inside of our group. And I'm thinking about doing another one for November. But it really depends. I don't know how many would sign up, because if the people have, signed up for the October challenge, I don't know if they would sign up for the November challenge. So if you're listening to this and you feel like, oh my gosh, I would love for you to do another November challenge, please let me know, because then I will know that it would be worth setting everything up and putting it all together. And if I am going to do a November challenge, I may not just do the nutritional guide, but I'll actually do like meal plans, as in different ideas as to for when you've calculated your macros, which is something that is a part of the nutritional guide inside of the challenge. Also in my workout programs, if you want to just go get that on my website, you can do that by yourself, where you literally learn how to calculate your macros in order for you to see the results that you want. For example, if you want abs, literally I walk you through every single step of the process, and I break it down so that it's easy and so that you don't ever have to be dependent on a coach to guide you through that ever again. Like, you will know exactly what it is that you will need to do for the rest of your life when it comes to food and reaching the goals that you want. But again, in the challenge, I may set up just a few ideas for what your meal plan could look like for you to achieve the goals that you want to achieve. How can I get an hourglass body? Well, I feel like that's like where you're wider up here and slim waist and wider down at the bottom. And while it comes down to building our legs and building our shoulders and back, I think it's mostly back when it comes to hourglass. So pull-ups, pull-downs, working out your back, and obviously working out that booty. And for a slim waist, that it has a lot to do with your genetics, but a slim waist is often associated with a lower body fat percentage. So something like that, if you want to completely transform your body, it's important that you follow a specific workout program that includes progressive overload, and that you're on top of your nutrition, as in get enough protein, eat the right amount of macros, which again, if you get my workout program, then I guide you through exactly how to do that. But it's important to have patience, because we don't build our dream body overnight. It takes time, and that's the beauty of it as well. It's the journey. And we think that we go on this fitness journey because we want to transform our body. But what we realize is how much it changes our life, because it changes our mental. It changes our belief about ourselves, because we experience ourselves gaining strength from putting in the work day in and day out and not giving up on ourselves. And we gain this resilience and knowing that we're capable of doing challenging things, because it's challenging to reach a fitness goal, because otherwise everyone would do it, right? And so be in it for the long haul. But with that, it's also really cool, because on a fitness journey, we see the small wins, right? Like after 3 months, a lot can happen in 3 months. We can lose a lot of weight in 3 months. We can see the development of some muscle in 3 months. And celebrating those small wins along the way is what makes the journey fun as well as just like the celebration of showing up every day and feeling incredible after having moved our body is, I think, beautiful. And also feeling incredible after having made some healthy nutritional switch ups. If we used to eat massive Ben & Jerry ice cream every single night before, and now suddenly we change that up with a little protein cake or something, and that it makes us feel better within, that's a massive win. That's something that should be celebrated, and like we should feel proud of when we make those little changes. But to answer the question, I would say developing a strong back, being on top of your diet for the lean waist, and also not so much on top of it that you can't build muscle, because if you want to build a booty and a back, then you need to have energy to work out and enough calories to actually build the muscle. Would you talk about your transformation? What did you do exactly to lean out and build? So the first thing I did was focus on being in a caloric deficit. I'm going to make this fast, but just like pointers, being in a caloric deficit is going to make us lose fat. And I did it in the wrong way. I didn't focus on protein at the time. I honestly didn't even know what protein was at the time. So I was eating a little too little protein, and that made me lose a lot of muscle as well. So how you want to do it the right way is to be in a slight caloric deficit, make sure you get enough protein in as you're in that caloric deficit, at least 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight. Some people will say that's too much, but I would say that that's like a general rule. It really depends on your current body, your current fitness level, and a lot of different things. So that's just a general rule, but see a specialist or get my guide to guide you like for the specific exact numbers that you need. And then I lost a lot of weight, and at my skinniest I was 10 pounds lighter than I am today, and I'm pretty lean right now, so you can imagine how light that is. But again, I also didn't have muscle. So over the last few years, I've been being in a little bit of a caloric surplus over periods of times. It's been a process. And during those times when I've gained weight, sometimes it's been majority fat, and other times it's been like right now, really focused on building muscle and pushing myself through progressive overload at the gym in order for me to build up muscle. I know I don't have that much, but like I said, I also like being lean. I just like being an athlete. So that's my priority right now. Who knows? Maybe it's going to change. It totally could change tomorrow. I am a very much like, one day I say one thing and the next day I have this realization epiphany and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is what I need to do for my life. And then I change it. And then maybe sometimes I regret it, and other times I'm like, this is the craziest, coolest thing ever. I just try to listen to myself and change as I go. Let's do one more question. Is it possible to eat high protein and healthy on a budget? Yes, but it is definitely harder because protein in general is a little bit more expensive, and veggies, especially in America, is expensive. If I'm in Denmark, oh my gosh, piece of cake. Food in Denmark is so cheap compared to America, at least like healthy food is. But in America, like what I did, for example, when I was first losing weight, was that I looked up, okay, what's the cheapest vegetable I can get? And that was cabbage. So I would eat so much cabbage and tuna as well. Was some of my go-tos. Like now I'm like, food is one of the things that I really don't want to not spend money on. Like that's one of the things that I do prioritize to spend money on, even though I am still a saver. I'm like the type of person that will go into the grocery store and try to find everything the cheapest of the cheapest. But there's just certain things that I want in my diet that I'm not willing to sacrifice. Like if I want a piece of salmon, I'm not going to buy like a whole package of salmon and like go home and meal prep it. I'm going to go to the store because I want salmon right here, right now. And I'll buy like the already cooked salmon and maybe spend like $4 and walk around after my gym session and eat the nice, delicious piece of salmon. But it feels like a reward. Like, oh my gosh, you just worked out so hard at the gym. You so deserved this piece of salmon. And then there's like egg whites and yogurt. Like Greek yogurt is not very cheap either. And vegetables isn't cheap either. But I honestly go for a lot of the cheaper vegetables. Like carrots isn't expensive, apples isn't expensive. I know that's a fruit, but like I started doing strawberries sometimes too, cucumbers, zucchini, spinach, like things that are not the most expensive you can get, but it's obviously also not the cheapest. But it's possible, but you do have to be strategic about it if you want it to be cheap and also like high protein and high veggie. If I don't even think you asked about veggie, but I somehow got it in there because I'm a veggie fan. That is me. What's your okay, two more. What's your ideal day protein and carb ratio? So I don't know how much carbs and fats I consume. Like I honestly don't know. All I'm focused on is the total amount of calories. Like if I'm counting, is like the total amount of calories ish. You know, I'd be cheating. Like I'll think, oh, she got 1,800 calories today. She totally got 2,100 calories because she did not count like all the little snacks that she sneaked her way in there. So I'm like, I'm a very not good calorie counter unless I'm doing a YouTube experience. When I do that, I am very good at counting. Like I'll measure it and all those things. But if I'm not, it's more of like, you know, just a general idea. And usually I lowball it. But I just make sure to get enough protein, which I think I get 160 grams per day, which is a lot and way more than I probably even need. But I've just made it a habit to really enjoy these like high protein meals. And so that's what I do. But again, carbs, I don't know. On some days I probably eat a lot of carbs and other days I don't eat that many carbs. I just kind of, what do I feel like eating? And then I eat that. But just keep in mind the general rule of like 1 gram of protein per pound of lean body mass is really what it is. is more than enough. And then someone's asking about my week of workouts. So I'll be training legs every 3 days-ish. Sometimes I'll take an extra rest day if I really need it. And pull-ups, I'll also do probably around every 3 days, just because I'm specifically training to get stronger in my pull-ups. And so on my pull-up days, I'll also be training back. Sometimes I'll be training shoulders, sometimes other upper body muscles. Usually, like my upper body, I will either split into two, or I'll just do one day where I do a little bit of everything upper body wise, just because I don't have massive goals with my upper body right now, other than the pull-ups. Like, that's my main goal, but I really do want to build my butt right now. And I have been training with my boyfriend, and he is a very great trainer, and I have been seeing results in a way that I never have seen before, because the training is very, very different than I ever have done before. And then when it comes to cardio, I'll do that like whenever I like it. Like, I'll go hiking a few times a week. I'll go dancing, sometimes a lot, sometimes not so much. I've recently been doing Stairmaster. I've been like checking emails and writing during that. I'll always be going on some sort of walk every day. Sometimes it's longer, sometimes it's shorter. But my main things is the leg day every 3 days, and then the upper body maybe 2 days, like split. So it's like, let's say Monday leg, Tuesday back, and then Wednesday shoulders, triceps, and biceps, for example, and then it's legs again. And then either that can continue, or I do all the upper body and then I go dancing. Like, it just changes up. So that was a messy answer, but my workout schedule right now is a little messy. So, and I love it that way. I really do. I just make sure to progressively overload every time I train, and I know how much I can do in different exercises, so I keep track of that. But I for a few months, I was very specific with a specific training structure, and I'd like to change that up. Sometimes doing that, and sometimes right now, honestly, I'm just following Alex, like what we're doing on leg day. And well, oh my gosh, I am dead after. Even though we do less total sets than I would have before, I go to complete failure in every single one of the sets. As in, when I think I'm done, he's like 4 more. And then I do 4 more and I'm dead. So that is what I'm doing right now. Oh my gosh, it just turned dark outside while I was doing this podcast. This was supposed to be a quick one, but I guess there was just so much good stuff to talk about because you send in some incredible questions and I didn't even get to answer all of them. But I hope you found something useful in here, and if you did, it would mean the world to me if you would share it with a friend, and also write a review or just give me 5 stars if you liked it, because it means the world to me. I really want to grow this podcast, and it just means so much to me when you do that, because then it helps the algorithm get it out to more people, which is very hard for podcasts to get on like the Explore podcast page. So thank you if you'd be willing to do that. And also just thank you for being here. Thank you for supporting me and listening. I hope you go out there and have a beautiful day or beautiful night. And remember, as always, that in order for you to grow, you have to challenge your norm.